GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every Friday night at midnight Eastern to take a look back at the week in 2A. Not just gun stuff, but actual Second Amendment focused topics and whatnot. I've got a new mic today, so if I could get some feedback on the mic, that'd be nice. Thank you very much. We do this live. As you can see in the background over here, we're been waiting for the team house to end. They've been going live for something like 3 hours listening to a FBI hostage rescue team guy from back in the day at Waco. Interesting conversation for sure. The volume is fluctuating. All right, this is a new used microphone, so I'm playing with it. Let me go in and make sure it's actually connected. I probably should have done that ahead of time. Audio, microphone, line. Is this the one? This is the one. I think this is the one. Any other feedback on that mic? I'll click on this. I haven't looked in here. Reduced mic background noise. I could turn that on. Oh, my browser's not supported. I could turn the volume up. Does this help? Does this help? If I turn the volume up. All right, so I do see the thing. Let me just listen, I guess. So I do see the thing. Let me just listen. Well, it sounds kind of like a tin can, huh? Doesn't sound very good. What if does this change anything? I did have myself. It could just be that I'm on a bad microphone. All right, so now I'm testing it again, and I'll be listening over here. Oh, that sounds shitty. So let's first off blame this little dog because he's the one that said I should get a new microphone, and then he recommended this microphone. He doesn't have a lot of jobs around here, but that was one of them. And if I turn it to this one, how's that sound? I got the volume up too high. So automatically adjust mic volume. Let's do that. How does this sound? Let's try this. Automatically adjust mic volume. Let's do that. How does this sound? Let's try this. So this sounds pretty shitty. Oh, that sounds pretty bad. So then, dang, how do I get? I don't even know if I can get back to my original mic because I threw it away already. So the only it's just going to be bad audio, I guess. Sorry about that. We'll just go ahead and turn it up a little bit. And we'll try that now. Oh, great. Now you can hear breathing noises all the time. All right. Well, with that, we'll just go ahead and deal with it. What we're here to do is take a look at the week in 2A. And we do that by looking at the YouTube. looking at some of the other places out there. And let's see. Let's head over to Substack. I guess I could just look at the description of this video. What am I thinking? Boom. All right, so we're taking a look at Substack, which is, we're not looking at it yet, are we? Got to click on this. And is it going to be screen one? Yes. Okay, now we're looking at Substack. So one of our blogs, one of our places to check things out. And we essentially take the description of the video that we're listening to or being part of over here on YouTube, and we repost it on Patreon, because those are the people that are sponsoring what we're doing here. They subscribe to our projects, and we post the weekly wrap-up over there each week. We get better formatting than we do here on YouTube. So it's visually a lot easier to read all the information over on Patreon. Well, then a while back we figured out that we could do the same with Substack, and it's actually even better formatting. So that's where we are. We're over on Substack, and we're taking a look at our weekly wrap-up. This is also episode 1580 of the Daily Gun Show. For those of you keeping track of it, it's September 1st, 2023. For those that might be listening to the podcast. And put down, so you're probably going to hear him trying to eat out of his food puzzle back there. So I mentioned the Patreon blog. Here's a link to it. Encourage you to check it out. Again, our Patreons are the people that subscribe to our projects. Most of people are subscribed at about $5 a month, a cup of coffee each month. That accumulates and helps pay for the servers and the software and the time it takes to keep everything running. We also keep a blog over there, and every once in a while we do some special Patreon things, especially as we get going with some new projects, some new old projects, maybe that's the way to say it. Getting closer to the end of the year here. This is the newsletter. We send that out via email for people that don't get a chance to listen to it live or don't have that inclination. There's definitely people out there that aren't video focused. So if you're interested in hearing all this information or getting all this information in an email each week, feel free to join the newsletter. This is the Substack that we're talking about. You can subscribe to that if you want. And then finally, we post things over on Instagram each week. And we do a show like this where we wrap up the week on Instagram also. We do that on Wednesdays. So let me know how this mic is working. And also, if you can hear that dog being mean to his food puzzle back there, because he was eating just before the show. So now he's going to try to get more food out of his puzzle. All right, so we got the show is kind of broken down into the news of the week. Then we'll get into the stuff that was talking about Second Amendment out there. Then we'll get into the stuff that's talking about guns in general. Eventually, there's a lot of Second Amendment stuff this week. After the gun talk, we follow a couple of radio shows. So we'll talk about those, and those are focused on Second Amendment. And then right now we're listening to a military interview. We have a couple of shows that we listen to each week, and then we'll talk about the stuff that we did last week. If we got time at the end, we'll dig into the calendar and take a look at what's coming up next week so that you're ahead of the game. All right, so thanks everybody again for joining us. Let's see who all is out there today. Woods was the first one to join in. I don't know if he's still out there. Oh yeah, he just said hey. So Woods is out there. Got RTAC. Again, I don't know how many people just came over from Gizzard's show to say hey, but welcome. Abigail, channel member for 5 months. Thanks again. When I say Patreons, I'm usually including the channel members. I think we have like 16 channel members or something. And again, those monthly memberships, those subscriptions accumulate and help pay for the software and the servers. Thanks for the feedback on the mic. Hopefully it's working better now. Well, it looks like Pink is out there. Good evening. I got a new belt for the van, so I don't know if you remember the old squeaky belt from 2018 trip. I think it was the 2018 tour. I was at Pink's place fixing the squeaky belt, and I've been using that as my backup belt in the van. And I just got a new one in the mail today. So, okay, saying the mic sounds better. Right on, thanks. I don't think I like it. It's not an expensive mic, but it is a dedicated microphone and not a headset, which is what I was using before. And it has a way longer cord, but if it doesn't sound good, then it doesn't sound good. You know what I mean? Let's see. And we also got Chris out there. Good evening. And then Woods is saying about it's a trailer. You can, YouTube, when you do a live show, it lets you put on a trailer, something that's going to show up before the show goes live. When somebody comes to watch the show or hang out, you'll get a trailer. And then you can also put what do they call it at the end? You can send people somewhere after the fact. And what did I just find? That's weird. Oh, I know what happened. Sorry, I just found something in my dog's little bed here. And I was like, why does he have this in his little bed? And then I remembered I was using his little bed as a basket earlier. And this must be from one of the tools or something I had in there. Anyway, sorry for the distraction. So the preview or the trailer that ran before the video today was for a book on miniature guns. A tiny book about miniature guns. Let's see. Abigail is saying that Minnesota got universal background checks and red flag laws. I need to match his firearms policy and see if they'll address that and the purchase permit BS. I didn't see anything about Minnesota in my recaps, but that's soon what we'll be working on, keeping a scoreboard of all that stuff. Zudak is joining. Welcome. All right, so thanks everybody for joining us live. We do go live on Sunday, it used to be every weeknight. Now it's more like every Friday to do this live. I value the live stuff. It's not necessarily the best way to present this, and it's not the best way to run a channel, but I value it. It keeps people together. It keeps, keeps a touch in reality and not in the view from the audience, which I don't value. And again, thanks to all the people that were listening to Gizzard Show that joined in over here. So let's dig in. We'll talk about the news of the week here first. ATF is got a new deal where they're going to be doing a series of what are they called? Comment periods for expanding the definition of in the business. So lots of focus on this. The onslaughts will never stop. So we be waiting for this? Do we expect it to just pause and not happen for any length of time? So we're hopefully going to be more and more able and comfortable adding to our burden instead of suffering under the burden. So I'm going to urge people, when you're out there doing your thing, are we suffering under a burden, or are we easily taking the new burdens in stride? Because that's how we're going to end this. And we have pretty weak opponents if this is the kind of stuff they're sending at us. These all end with awareness. I have a pretty common solution to everything, because I'm pretty sure that's the solution to almost all of it. All right. Hey. I don't know if you can hear that, but he's over there having a fit. Come here. Come here. What are you doing? Ruining the show. You're the third worst co-host the show's ever had. All right, he's going to try sitting over here. We'll see if he calms down or not. Washington, D.C. has to pay $5 million as part of a class action settlement with gun owners who were arrested under laws that were later found to violate the Second Amendment. So that's interesting. Washington, D.C. is just a district, right? The D.C. part means District of Columbia, means it's not a state. their license plate even says no taxation without representation. A lot of people want to give them to senators and make them a state because a lot of people want more Democratic senators. A lot of people say they don't need senators because they're only a couple of city blocks. And they also would, they're technically, I don't know if they're part of Maryland and Virginia or whatever, but anyway, so there's a lot going on with DC. But one of the aspects of District of Columbia is that they can be a petri dish or an incubator for some things. And in this case, consequences to bad law, right? So we've got this concept that they're going to have to pay $5 million to people who were arrested. So, that's kind of new precedent. I don't know what people are going to think about that. I'll try moving this over to look at this little dude and see if that affects the audio, because now the microphone and the camera are on the same boom. Let's see. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know who else is covering that one. Judge stays a decision or blocks the decision that 21-year-olds can't have handguns in Colorado. Wait, is that how it's supposed to be? So, did I report this right, or is that supposed to say long guns? Something's going on in Colorado where a judge stayed a decision on the 21-year age limit. Then we got Tennessee rejecting gun control during a special session. I wonder why that one got so much attention. The volume's messing up again? Okay. When I moved it over towards the dog, because then maybe it's a directional mic. Now it's right in front of me again. Colorado school violates the kid's rights over that flag on his backpack. Is that a inconsequential thing, or do we need these feel-good things in order to do stuff? I don't know where we're at with that, but we certainly saw a lot of coverage of that this week. 19 states are moving to push judges to challenge a Maryland anti-gun law. I think that's one of the leaders of this week. News-wise, 19 states that are challenging Maryland's dumbass law. I believe that has to do with travel. Speaking of that, why don't we take a look over here quickly at the poll? So each week we have a poll, at least we start the show with a poll that says, how was this week for 2A? So was it a good week? Was it a great week? Was it a good week? Was it an okay week? Or was it a bad week? And we started off the show with only bad. So somebody was trolling or somebody was upset with something. Now it looks like we've got a majority for okay to bad and a couple for great and good. So feel free to comment with some reasoning there. Otherwise, no one will know why you're suggesting it's bad. They'll just assume you're a troll. So if there's a valid reason why it's bad, let me know. But we'll keep going with the bullet points here. This is the 2A news of the week, so to speak. Let's see. So we had those 19 states challenging Maryland's anti-gun travel laws. Then you get ATF publishing the 35th edition of the state laws and published ordinances. So ATF's rules, their 35th edition came out, got published this week. Next, 81, they had a research poll somewhere. Pew Research had a poll recently, and the results suggest lots of things. There's quite a few things about guns in there, but 81% say they feel safer owning a gun. Something like 79% said they bought the gun for personal protection. So I don't know how many conversations are happening out there, and people say, I don't know what to talk about, but there's some research that can be dissected and new approaches to conversation, new topics for content might be the result of checking out some of that research, or don't, whatever you want to do. So next is some of the negative stuff that happened, I guess, or that's about to happen. So it doesn't really show up really well, but this is the dividing line. There's technically a break there. Coders can see the break here, but I should have put a little dotted line or something. So next one here is more on the negative side. So how many bullet points do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the bad side, 6 on the bad side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the good side, 9 on the good side technically. Is it a bad week? Is it a good week? I don't know what people are using for their what now. How's the volume? Is it still bad? If it gets really bad, I'll go find my other headset, the old headset. Hey, quit licking the bed. Quit licking your little dog bed. All right, so getting into the negativer stuff, New York's background check system starts on the 13th. So let's not forget New York is often the brunt of horrible legal garbage. We had the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association that beat Bruin decision earlier this year, but that doesn't mean New York's on a winning streak or that New York's had any kind of change in direction. Next is the Department of Veterans Affairs. The DAV is adding names of veterans who require a fiduciary, someone to help them with their money. They're adding those people to the NICS database as prohibited individuals. That's effed up on top of effed up, heinous on top of heinous. So again, I don't know how many people are paying attention to this stuff. I know that it came up in the news cycle, but coming up in the news cycle occasionally is not putting effort. When Ghost starts each show letting people know that he's available to chat, that others are available out there when you're having troubles or having stress and you need somebody to talk to, consistently letting people know every single show and then doing specific things about that in addition, that's putting money where your mouth is. Occasionally in a news cycle, bringing up veterans, that's something different. So, again, I'm just trying to bring it up here. This is the kind of stuff that's out there in the 2A right now, in the 2A realm right now. The United States Fish and Wildlife Service is claiming that traditional ammunition, lead ammunition, is a widespread danger to wildlife populations. This is not new. This is something that they've attempted to suggest for a while. If it's the case, then things can be adjusted. If it's not the case, then light can be shed on the bad data or the bad manipulation of data. But we don't win by just complaining and watching these things go by in the news cycle. California congressman introduces a ban to traditional ammo on all lands. So kind of goes hands in hands here. I don't know if which one came first or not, or if they're both just together. I get my news from a couple of different sources, so I wanted to put these in separately. I think they are separate, but they are obviously also similar, they're adjacent. I didn't want to name the guy, but everybody knows that somebody's demanding firearms confiscation. I'm always talking about the back and forth ping pong game. That takes two players, the idiot a-holes, the jerks, the antis, the people that want to rely on people's unawareness to create emotional pleas. Those are one side that nobody likes, that we don't like. And we scorn them for their tactics and that they'd even come to the table to waste everybody's time. But unless there's somebody across the table playing with them, they're just shouting to air. So when these people come up and demand firearm confiscation, they're desperately wanting their name in the paper. We can ignore them and say things like a California congressman demands, or we can make flashy thumbnails and, create another piece of content that advertisement can be placed on, another piece of content that can battle for statistics and analytics that can be then used for marketing sales. So, we are audiences, but with this particular situation, we're trying to accomplish some things. What do we accomplish when we feed into that back and forth? Being aware of it and being part of it is two different things. I think we have a right in 2023 to demand a different approach in some respects. to some things. Let's see. Then it says end-of-life pledges made to to the Giffords Law Center, totally different place, horrible place, will provide people and pets in donors' lives plans for the distribution of assets and help hold the gun lobby accountable. Does that sound creepy and weird? Yeah, well, I don't even want to think about it, but there are definitely people that are pledging their fortunes, their legacies to Giffords Law Center. So there are definitely, there's Bloomberg and there's a couple other people that profit from the nonsense. But there's lots of people that have good intent and that care, and they're going to do stuff like this. So again, awareness, conversation, communication, hopefully can take away some of this resource from them, because those people could be putting that pledge of resources, financial resources and legacy to something that actually does make a difference. In our case, what we're talking about here, suicide prevention, maybe some kind of a military group or organization or group of organizations that deals with the legacies of the children, or a victim group that helps send people to college or something. But to mess with the industry for a political group, AstroTurf group, just horrible. But I'm sure they would think the same of something like the NRA or Gun Owners America or whatever else. Maybe one of the ones that swears all the time. He can FAFO. I don't know what that means. So I got a lot of that information from the weekly legislation tracker that comes out from NSSF. I often say NSSF is one of the better organizations we've got at the national level. They're a liaison between the government and the industry, but they do a lot more than that. At the same time, I often rag on NSSF for going outside their role and trying to do things that they don't need to do. But I'm a member. I just paid them another $25. So again, thanks to our Patreons. I'll wait until there. Our Patreons make it possible for us to spend time on projects like these. Thank you. And that's the link if you want to be a Patreon. But it also provides that kind of thing, membership in NSSF, right? That's $25. If I had to just be paying bills, I wouldn't pay $25 to NSSF. But I'm happy to do so, especially when people are helping with that. And as a member, I feel I can rag on them once in a while. But another majority of their efforts are awesome and great organization. If you're a member of the industry, you're probably already a member. But if you're a member of the media, consider being an NSSF media member. All right, now we'll get into Second Amendment talk and the different videos that are going to be talking about Second Amendment topics. I'm going to take a second here to run a commercial so that I can slurp a little bit of coffee.
Hey, did you know that you could help support our future projects and let everyone know you're a fan of what we do? Check out our print-on-demand store. We have a tab here on YouTube. When you click on it, you can choose from a bunch of different items. We have shirts and posters and coffee mugs. Click on the one you like. When you find the design you want to put on it, choose a color and a size if it's appropriate. And when you purchase these items, a portion goes to help fund our future projects. We really do appreciate your support. You get some cool stuff. When you get that stuff, post pictures here and on other platforms, and we'll hook you up next time you order from our Gear website store. Thank you for your support of gunwebsites.com.
See, Wesley is joining us. Good afternoon. All right, so we're going to get into the 2A talk, and I usually rank these in order of how 2A they are, with the most 2A, the most useful for our Second Amendment, being towards the top. And that almost always is pegged with Brooke Cheney and her Suicide Prevention Saturday project. She has GIGO listed here, which is not an anime. Instead, that stands for good in or good out or grade in, grade out, something like that. So Brooke hosts a conversation each Saturday that's brief, usually 20, 30 minutes long. And the concept is to provide more resources for us, people who value what the Second Amendment protects, resources for us to have better conversations and to know more about mental health and suicide prevention in a nutshell. Lots of interesting ways to address that and facets of that that aren't necessarily obvious. And the idea is that 2 out of every 3 deaths that happen with a firearm, 66%, depending on the year, are from suicide. And since most of the, well, all of the efforts to demonize or to marginalize guns and gun owners is on the back of those deaths, they always include suicides, yet they will never attempt to address how to deal with that, how to destigmatize mental health and to create more awareness of suicide prevention. And Brooke does that every Saturday. It's an awesome effort, and please join her for a live event. Now, she does this through a Great Start Shooting School. She's an instructor in Connecticut. They have to deal with a lot of anti-gun things, which will disrupt their normal day-to-day. And their normal day-to-day is instructing both novice and educated and experienced gun owners on how to either own a gun for defensive use or get better with competition shooting. So it's a great project, a great channel, and almost always leads off our conversation each week. So next is a quick video from Maj, who started Black Guns Matter in 2015. And my appreciation for Maj kind of goes back and forth with the kind of efforts he's doing. And he's often been leading edge, cutting edge in Second Amendment stuff, and I think he's doing that. He's shining through on that in this era, this last couple of months. I'm not sure what's going on, but he's been approaching things a little bit differently, and he's often got great insight, but he's been, in my opinion, just had great points of view on a couple of things, and this is one of them. So I'll let this play for a bit. Hopefully, it won't get copyrighted.
Something bad happens, and then the government says, we want to take the guns so you'll be safe. But generally, people aren't getting hit. So, even in America, where they say, there's so much death around guns, there's 30,000 deaths. They don't tell the international community that on the likelihood there's 300,000 defensive gun users in Japan. So 30,000 deaths associated with firearms. 60% of those are people choosing to end their own life. But 10 times that amount is when people use a firearm to defend them. Most of those are non-lethal. So the government says, things have been good since we took your right to defend your life. Well, again, they don't tell you those numbers, and they don't show you that in reality, most people are just good people. Most people are not walking around with a gun shooting. So for some time, nothing happens. And people are like, yep, it's because the guns are gone. But nothing was happening before they took it. I mean, to the number that they're trying to scare you into. In America, what they call mass shootings make up less than 1% of shootings. So they'll highlight that when they say, we got to do something. They're not being genuine about it with us. We want to take your individual gun ownership so we have the monopoly of supply.
So he brought a lot of stuff onto the table there, but I think that's because it's a short made out of an interview, a longer interview. So I don't know if you heard that okay. Give me some feedback on that. I moved the mic at the end there, so I guess we could turn the camera back on. Look at the puppy. Verify the puppy is still sitting right here, making noises and being kind of a jerk. But again, I think Maj brought up a lot of interesting points there that don't get brought up enough in the modern conversation, in my opinion. And this was obviously some kind of a interview that he had, podcast or something, with a different audience than he's typically with, students or whatever. So I dig it. There's a lot of good stuff there. Pink is saying the volume's good. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so Michael Cargill is the Garland versus Cargill lawsuit. And this is an update, which is about a 3-minute video on the update. I don't want to go too long tonight, so I won't play that whole thing. But again, the status there is, like a lot of things, in what's the word? Like in a waiting status for another decision to be made. So this is a good place to be, but it's also a frustrating place to be. When you think about how long have you been a gun owner and how long have you been paying attention? There's times when we're on the edge of our seats waiting for 3 states to flip to constitutional carry out of maybe 6 that are debating it. That's happened quite a bit over the last number of years. There's times when we see, unfortunately, states lose their freedoms, like Oregon, Washington. Those states flipped in the last few years. So there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot on the table, and a lot of it has some pretty big consequences. Some big, whichever way the decisions come down, there's going to be changes in the way the fight goes on. The challenges go on going forward. So this is from the person who is involved in the court case with bump stocks, and from Texas, owns a gun shop, runs a radio show, now a podcast and a YouTube channel and all the rest. So you couldn't get a more source, or from this is the source, getting the update from him. And it's still frustrating to have to keep track of all the back and forth and the nuance. Which again, we don't want a system. It would be fascism if we had a system that only one person made a decision and then it was over, right? So this is the meat of what we've got, our system, the way it works. We can hear you in the video and the microphone moving. Oh, so when the microphone moves, you can hear it all bad or something? Next up was the Virginia Citizens Defense League Political Action Committee. Had a presentation on women and guns on the 29th. Crump with another update on the auto key card. Then we have Alex Uli from Forge for Freedom podcast, lawyer, I don't know where, some state. This is focus on the Gadsden flag after all the controversy this week, but probably a good idea to know our different flags, especially when others don't, and will conflate what flags are and what they mean. All right, you're going down. You're going down, my friend. All right, we put him down again. Did I say Ozzy's out there? Good evening. Thanks for joining. Thanks again to Pink. All right, we'll keep on. So next up is Barbecue. I don't think he's out there, but he had a show again on Thursday. Turns out he's doing Thursday shows. Sounds like they'll have another one next week with the book club, potentially. Gabby Franco, some Second Amendment advocate, has a campaign, started a campaign to mess with the cycle, mess with the systems and play with the logarithms, to do a hashtag. Okay, now I can't remember what it is. I'll look it up. I forgot what it is already. But anyway, she wants to do a hashtag, or wants to see how many people get involved in using a hashtag to mess with the shadow banning concept, the concept that when a platform essentially wants to stifle a channel's growth, they turn off their ability to reach new people and allow them to post, but don't allow them to reach anyone new. And it's nothing new, I guess. It's probably been around for a long, long time. But Gabby wanted to shine some light on it and to encourage people to do something about it. And in this case, found it now. the hashtag is beat SB, like challenge and beat, defeat. Beat SB for shadow banning. And if you want to join Gabby in that awareness campaign, boom, there you go. Does she think she's going to end shadow banning? I don't think so. But how do we get better at stuff? By practicing. So how do we get, where do we get practice? By people like Gabby creating opportunities to do such. Speaking of people creating things, we got Professor Yamane talking about the concept that people not seeing themselves in the work of scholars. And, he's a professor, and he has a focus on the learning and teaching of the sociology of gun ownership. And the same way that Walk the Talk America is an intersection of guns and mental health and the physicians, medical field. You could say that Light Over Heat, the project from Professor Yamane, would you stop it? Is the intersection of firearms and. Okay, hold on. What are you doing? Don't chew on this. What are you doing? You're being bad right during the middle of the show. I'm telling you, he's a bad co-host. It's the intersection of gun culture and institutional learning, I'll put it that way. And this case, he's talking about when the people who are doing the research don't get it, they don't include people. And when you're not included, you're going to disregard the work. So luckily, we've got people who are paying attention and who attempt to share our actual experiences with those quote unquote researchers out there that aren't on our side, that aren't paying attention. And I think we're making some pretty good gains there. Again, that'd be a great topic for chats or conversations out there that like to focus on Second Amendment featured things. This is 2A Cops. I don't know why they're talking about this. I guess there was some seminar that some of the people they work with attended, and that seminar was talking about the extremists and who to watch out for, and they were bringing up some of the really dated infographics, I guess, that went around, I think like a year ago or maybe even more than a year ago, that also focused on a bunch of the different flags. So the fact that the federal government is teaching local law enforcement seminars about what flags are a big deal or not, and then we see flags in the news, it almost seems like we're seeing the beginnings of a bunch of some kind of an agenda against flags or using flags to indicate something, or I don't know. Seems weird to see a couple of different flag things popping up, but maybe they are just coincidence. Next up is armed attorneys. And these are some attorneys from Texas that work with U.S. Law Shield. And they usually they do a couple of these short points of view focused on something Second Amendment related. In this case, the decision on ages to purchase a firearm. And this was another interesting perspective on it. I can't remember the perspective right now because I'm getting tired, and it was like on Wednesday or something. But I remember thinking, oh, I know what they're going to say. And then they didn't say that. So it was an interesting perspective. I guess I have Virginia Citizens Defense League, Women and Guns thing twice. So I'm not saying they owe us twice the money, but I'm just saying we got them in there twice for free. So then we got gun talk. We've been talking about 2A things. Now we're going to talk about gun things. And since nobody's saying anything in the chat, I'm going to assume everybody has fallen asleep. So I'm going to milk the show by playing another commercial and give me another chance to slurp some of this coffee and yell really loud at a dog who's being bad. So on Saturdays, Tony Simon, Clovertack, and I get together and reminisce about the olden days.
AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
Those are all the reasons why you're a bad dog. I'm wiggling them right in front of everybody. Quit running around like a spaz, buddy. All right. So now we're going to talk about gun talk. Well, that pink is out in the garage. I imagine your garage is probably pretty nice temperature right now. We got Brooke Genie. We mentioned her earlier for her Suicide Prevention Saturday project. But like I said, she's also she's a competition shooter and an instructor. So she posted this van stage. It's always cool when a stage has a van involved in it. And in this case, it's some kind of reckless shooting through the van, but it's okay. So I approve of it. And yeah, never a bad idea to hang out with a van. As you can see, they make the world safer and more enjoyable. Talking about safer and more enjoyable, we've got the Foss, who may or may not be out there right now because he may or may not be working right now. And he does a show. He hosts a show every Saturday. Every other week, it's called The Overnight, which it was last week. And then every other week, it's called The Mouse Party. It shifted from Wednesdays when it used to be The Mouse Party every Wednesday. And there's another one. We were searching for a topic, and I think we had a pretty good show. Dog is reliving his Men in Black days. I've got some people that I know in real life over here who are not happy with me because I didn't name him whatever that dog's name is. He does look like that dog, but I just don't like that movies enough to name my dog after that dog. All right, so this is gun stuff. This was a pretty interesting one. This is a conversation with a guy in New Jersey who is at some New Jersey collectors club. They get together at this VFW hall, Veteran of Foreign Wars, and they share, right? They talk about stuff and they do presentations and they share their collections and that kind of thing. Awesome thing to do if you're able to be part of something like that. I've been able to be part of things like this over the years. Hopefully I'll be able to continue to do that going forward. But in this case, it's a guy who, how long is this video? I guess they don't tell you anymore. But it's something like 20 minutes long, I think. And they go through and talk about this guy's accidental collection. He was started off being a kid interested in the OSS. He's an older guy. So the OSS was a little bit different for the older guys than it is for us, right? And so he's a big fan of the OSS, which is the precursor of the CIA and the special operations. And they accomplished a lot of what happened in World War II, subtly behind the scenes. And as he was a fan, he knew that they had quite a few firearms and things associated with them. And throughout his lifetime and his career, he was able to accidentally obtain a whole bunch of different guns from the OSS. And that's what this video talks about, both the guns and how he acquired them. Really fun to listen to. It's one of my favorite channels these days. Speaking of favorite channels, I mentioned Ghost earlier, walking the walk, so to speak, and he was talking about guns on episode 305 of his podcast this week. Another dude who talks about guns is AR Guns, and he did another podcast on Thursday, chatting with folks. So I like to say thanks to the people who are out there. As you see, there's different people doing different things. Some people are presenting things. Some people are hosting conversations that are focused on something. Some people are just going live and ranting or reading the news or reading the comments that are coming through. And each of these ways are more than entertaining. They allow the conversation to evolve. They allow the echo chamber to hone their pitch and sing in tune, right? They allow us to understand the totality of the issues eventually, right? It's not like we're being presented and told what's up. We discuss it, and I value each of these shows. And then we got Gear Report, and they have a conversation each Thursday also. And then there's Yankee, and him and me and Matt have been getting together since some Thursday in the afternoon in 2010, I think it was, or maybe 2009. No, it must have been 2010. And yeah, we've been chatting live essentially every week since. It used to be almost every day, but luckily those times have gone. The sky is falling eventually, but luckily gravity bounces the sky right back up there. This is an interesting video. I'm going to play it because I don't think Condor will copyright me. So probably most people don't know who Condor 5x5 is, but let's see. Condor 5x5 was the original. I don't know who to call him. He was. Oh, you know who he was? He was Kingpin before Kingpin. If everybody knows who Kingpin is. Back in the olden days, but a little bit different because he went around the world doing all kinds of interesting things. But Kingpin does that, he just doesn't talk about it. Anyway, so now that was our gun stuff. Now we're going to get into the 2A radio shows. There's actually two of them I listen to now on the regular, maybe three, I guess, depending how things are going. But one I listen to every week for sure is the Rapid Fire Radio from Cape Gun Works in Massachusetts. They're constantly doing interesting things. They've got useful people on this week. They had an hour-long interview with the guy from the guy who owns Gunbroker, the guy who bought Gunbroker and owns Guns.com. Wait, is it Guns.com? Ammo.com? Maybe it's Ammo.com. And just an interesting dude and great conversation. With all the stuff that's happening in Massachusetts, there was plenty to talk about. And then on top of it, they talk a little bit about the guns that are coming up or guns that are historic or guns that people ask questions about. So definitely hands down best radio show each week. Not just about guns and not just about Second Amendment, but about both of them. Then there's some other radio shows I like to listen to when I can. And those are Come and Talk It, which is Michael Cargill from the Central Texas Gunworks gun shop in Austin, Texas. They've changed their time from Sunday to Wednesday, and it's just not easy for me to catch up with that one. Eventually, maybe I'll get it into a routine, but I do like listening to that show. I've been listening to the Come and Talk It show since the olden days of gun channels, so probably 14 years now or something like that. We've been listening to that radio show on Sundays. And then the third radio show that I like to listen to each week is out of California from the San Diego County Gun Owners, hosts a radio show called Gun Owners Radio. And that's a really good show. That's a couple hours long, and they stream their show while it's being broadcast. And because they're in Southern California with the unique challenges they've got and the history of challenge, they've got people that have had institutional gun infringements. So people who have grown up under institutional infringements they're at a whole different level of done with it. And they're respectful and they're competent and they're creative in their approaches and in their successes, and then they learn from failure. So it's a great project, and the radio show is a great way to monitor and see what the project is up to. They've got Gun Prom coming up soon, which is a fancy banquet with a fancy dress banquet that should be franchised. That should be a thing, even though I'm not going to go to it. For people that want to dress up and be fancy, it's a great idea. We used to have NRA banquets. You're not allowed to like the NRA anymore, because even though you're not going to get paid by Bloomberg, you should line with Bloomberg against the NRA, according to most people. But the NRA banquets used to be unique opportunities to kind of rub elbows with different people in town and have a good time and eat some good food and raise a shit ton of money for the NRA and just feel good about Second Amendment and meet people that are into the same things. You're not allowed to like that. You're not allowed to talk about that kind of stuff that the NRA did or does. But we'll keep going. So I also listen to some military interviews. In fact, I mentioned earlier that I just got done. I didn't even finish listening to the interview with that guy from the hostage rescue team. So this is some motherfucker that was with Waco in the hostage rescue team. He talks about it. He's not scared to talk about it, but he's also done a bunch of interesting ass shit in his life, and he's able to talk about it for 3 hours. So it was a pretty interesting conversation for sure. But in addition to that, you've got a guy who's an Osprey pilot. I have not listened to that yet. I've never even talked to an Osprey pilot. So. And he also is in a Pave Low and a Cobra and in an Apache. So that's kind of neat. I have not listened to this one yet, so I'll be listening to this one soon. What's the other one? Why don't I have, let's see, Team House and then Combat Story and well, okay, I guess I haven't listened to anything from Mike in a while. So we'll move on from there. There are some really good ones in those. There are some good military interviews, but I guess I haven't listened to any this week. I'm getting the hiccups here. So last up, now Gun Freedom Radio is the Cheryl and Dan Todd from Phoenix. Gun Owners Radio is the San Diego County Gun Owners. So they have a very similar name. Gun Freedom Radio was first and was, already a prominent name in the podcasting / radio show realm when Owners Radio started. So Gun Owners Radio has no justification for picking such a similar name other than they were either lazy or wrong. But yeah, you can't help it. And I'll call them out. I'll tell them to their face that they picked a dumbass name. Gun Freedom Radio is an amazing project. Dan and Cheryl are putting together and have put together for years, so they should not have laid down right next to them. It's a very California thing to do, if you'll notice. FPC did the same thing to the Knoxes with the firearms policy, right? What the hell? The Firearms Coalition, and they called theirs the Firearms Policy Coalition. So, what are you going to do? But no, Gun Freedom Radio is a different show. I haven't been listening to theirs as much because they have been doing a lot of politics and Arizona-focused things, and I just haven't had the time to listen to all the politics and Arizona-focused stuff. But I did have time to listen to, I don't know what this was, about 7 or 12 minutes worth of talking about these old guns. So we've been doing a flashback Thursday. Join us on Thursday, sometime prime time. I cork anybody, I don't care. We'll just do these right in the middle of the day. Essentially, we go back and look at our giant videos, the 1 million views plus videos from back in the day. And this one's from 2009, 1.5 million views. And mainly because I don't remember half the time. I do remember filming this, kind of. But it's just neat to go back and watch a video that's 14 years old that's been watched 1,500,000 times. So that's what we do on Thursdays. Next week we'll be talking about, I don't know. So if you got an idea which one you'd like to watch, you can let me know. Let's see, on Tuesdays, Clover Tack and I get together and we do coaching. Our goal is to encourage more people to grab a camera and join the conversation, value your voice, and do something. It doesn't cost anything, and you can if you want to pay something, but very inexpensive and very, it's easier and easier to be part of the overall conversation, and valid points of view and creative new ways of thinking come from new people in the mix and come from people who stick around long enough to evolve. People that aren't so tender, or that they leave the first time they're challenged, or the first time they lose popularity, or the first time they just lose. And then people that, can just get past that hurdle or that threshold that stops them from being part of the conversations. I think most of the people listening to this show know what I'm talking about, that there's lots of people out there that probably had no idea what they could offer, what they could add, and their contributions have been valued. So that's what we do on Tuesdays, to try to foster that and encourage that. And since that often turns into, here you're brand new, or how do I start, which gets boring as a shit when you've been doing this for a while. One, for me, because I don't like talking about it all the time, and two, for people that have been around for a while. We don't want to hear about new people all the damn time. I mean, new people are important and valid and all that, but they're not the only thing out there. So we're talking to the advanced. We're talking to people that have been doing this for a while, people that have actual questions about real things. So it's going to be like a 7-part series. We'll probably break it up a little bit and talk about SHOT Show and stuff, but in between. But essentially eventually we're going to do 7 pieces to this, and we're going to talk about a little bit more advanced, the more intermediate stuff, so that it's not always training wheels. And hopefully people join us that are interested. And if you're not able to keep up, then you get an idea of what's in front of you. You got an idea of what the potential is and what tools are out there for you to learn about. This show, right now, we're talking about what happened on Instagram, or what happened on YouTube. But on Wednesdays, we talk about what happened on Instagram, because it's different. Instagram people have no attention span, and they're kind of spazzes. They're always glitching out on things, and they really don't fight that much. They just look at each other and walk away. Over on YouTube, everybody's long-winded, and we sit around and we listen to these things, and people fight all the damn time. So they're a little bit different. It's neat to throw one on top of the other once in a while. So you can't really shove YouTube on Instagram, but you can peel Instagram and stick it down on top of YouTube pretty good. That's what I do on Wednesdays. All right, so with that, that's most of the stuff that we had prepared here, but I'm going to jump over to guncalendars.com, which is one of our projects. Again, thank you to our Patreons that provide the software and the servers for us to do this, and the time that it takes to monitor and upkeep it and whatnot. But we're in a new month. It's September. So let's take a look at what we got coming up in September. Today, already posted out there, but Texas began issuing their CCWs for the first time in 1995. So a lot of y'all weren't even born probably then. We got the founder of Trigicon passed away back in 2003 on the 2nd, which will be tomorrow. Hiram Percy Magnum. There's 3 different Maxims. So 2 of them are named Hiram. Hiram Percy is the son, right? So the son was born tomorrow, September 2nd, back in 1869. And then later on, when he's like 20-something years old, he invents the suppressor for the gun and the muffler for the car. And then 11 years later, the 34 Gun Control Act is so scared of his suppressor that they make it illegal for people to own without a stupid permit or whatever, tax stamp. So Hiram Percy Maxim, born tomorrow in 1869. Next up is the Pittman-Robertson Federal Aid in Wildlife Restoration Act, right? The Pittman-Robertson Act that we've been hearing about so recently. Some people like to say that we shouldn't have it because we shouldn't be paying that extra tax on a gun because we don't go hunting and we don't like birds or deers or whatever and blah, blah, blah. We live in a city. I shoot left-handed. I like 9mm. I guess left-handed people aren't to blame. 9mm people are to blame for sure, though. And anyway, so the other people go, oh, Pittman-Robertson is, well, I guess there's nobody else. People mainly just bitch that it exists. But a bunch of people also say, oh, it's so good because here's what we do with it, right? So it started in 1937, in September 2nd of 1937, and it essentially it's changed. So it started out a little bit differently, and we won't get into it, but it's changed a little bit. But the percentages have changed. But essentially, it put an 11% tax on guns and ammunition, and then it changed to be on pistols and revolvers, and then it changed to be on bows and arrows. So I guess I did talk about the changes. Sorry about that. So it changed to include more and more guns and stuff, but then it pays for 75% of wildlife habitats, not all of them, but improvements to wildlife habitats are often paid for almost in full by this act. Introduction of wildlife into those suitable habitats, research into the wildlife, surveys, right, that you have to do in order to do that research, acquisition and development of new facilities. Then, in addition to that wildlife habitat and whatnot, you've got hunter education, and then construction of public target ranges. Now that side, I guess you could hear some people who are going to complain on both sides. And if, it's a little bit communist to take from everybody to make these things, but at the same time, we're a little bit of communist. We've got that weird thing where we pay for the police and we pay for roads and stuff. So it's got that element to it. And some people don't like that. Some people can't handle it. And I challenge people to. But right now, what we're seeing is people challenging it in general, and other people, I don't know. There's a lot to say about that one. So that's coming up, the anniversary of that one. We'll see who talks about it. Next week, you got the anniversary of Roy Weatherby being born. You've got, another Hiram Burdan. That's not Maxim, though. This is just the guy that invented the centerfire primer, the Burdan primer. That guy was born in 1824. Then you've got this guy, Ludwig Vergelmergler, born. This is Night Strike's favorite gun inventor. He was born in 1912, and he would later invent the Sept when he was 38 years old. Then you got the passing of Gal Uzi, died in 2002. So how many people could have shook Uzi's hand if they would have known that they only had a limited time to do it? The USCCA has their expo coming up. It'll be a 3-day expo starting Friday. And then you've got the Veterans Top Shot Invitational up in Massachusetts at Cape Gun Works. That'll be on the 9th of September. And that's they have a 2-part. They have a golf invitational earlier in the year, and then they have their Top Shot shooting portion at the Cape Gun Works gun range. And that's a shooting competition with the donations and proceeds funding a couple of veterans charities out of that Cape Cod area of Massachusetts, from what I understand. And that's pretty much the next week of gun-related stuff. Next Sunday, I guess I'll mention that the Glock pistol was patented. And I didn't put in here, but what's interesting, and I didn't put it in here, I guess I should still add it. But if you look at a bigger calendar of what's going on in gun stuff that I don't have a chance to always put into the calendar on the website, the same day that the Glock pistol was patented whatever I just said, September 10th, 1985. If you go to September 10th, 1850, the Glock or the Colt 1850 revolver was patented. So on the same day but different years, the Glock and one of the Colt revolvers is patented, right? Doesn't seem all that different or all that interesting until you go back to August, right? Just last month. Was it last month or was it the month before that? Maybe it was the month before that. Hold on. If you go back to just 2 months ago to July and you look, Glock and Colt were born on the same freaking day. What? So Glock and Colt were born on the same day and they patented their guns on the same day. Just different years. So is Glock a ghost of Colt? Just saying. So that's the gun calendars. Thanks again to our Patreons for giving us the time to keep that up to date. I'd like to fancy it up a little bit, so we will play with that a little bit here, probably middle of next year. So it's not super priority. It's working pretty good the way it is, but kind of as things go, it looks like the middle of next year we'll put some work into it. We got things that'll be getting work put into them way before that, though. So thanks again to the people that are making all of that possible. All right, we're closing this one up. Yep. Oh, Ron Wayne is out there. Good evening. Oh, he said earlier, been enjoying Toby's radio show the past couple weeks. Right on. Yeah, he's pretty decent at doing his show, and he's definitely getting a lot of practice as he's been filling in for Grace Curley. She had a baby. All right, so with that, we're wrapping it up. And let's see, tomorrow, Tony and Clover and I will be getting together to answer gun questions. If you've got any questions, you can head over to askgunquestions.com, which I will grab a link to by doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this. One of these and then that thing. And now you've got a link to it if you'd like to join. Oh, wait a minute. Did I may have linked to something after this. I just don't remember what it was. Let me go find out. Usually I like to link something to the show or link you to a show after this. And I just don't remember if I already set something up or not. So let's go over here. Oh, I don't have a redirect. So let's take a look at what's going to go on tomorrow besides me and Tony and Clover. And that will probably be, did I see that Chris from the 740 has got, oh no, that happened a couple hours. No, here it is. He's got his Savoir Equipment Specialist. Oh, it's a premiere. Oh, I'm going to click to the premiere anyway. For some reason, I was thinking that was a live show tomorrow. I thought maybe he was taking over for G23. But it's a premiere. Anyway, we'll link to that. So after this show, tomorrow, check out Chris's show or Chris's premiere. What am I trying to say? The Suicide Prevention Saturday will be on in the evening. And then I haven't seen it posted yet, but I suspect we can also anticipate a overnight. It'll probably be called a mouse party. If you're in the mood, you can head over to Never Enough Ammo. He does a geek chat, or he talks about toys all the damn time. But occasionally we talk about sci-fi movies and things like that. And that's it. Thanks everybody for joining us live. Oh, Chris is saying he's been watching Toby since the lockdown days when the shop was basically closed. Yeah, I really wish I'd been watching back then. I haven't got the time to go watch those shows anymore, but it sounds like, the origins of the rapid fire radio were pretty cool. I definitely dig it. I was, living that just with other people, but that kind of concept during that time. So yeah, I bet you that was definitely a cool time to hang out over there and watch Toby get to where he's at now, the evolution or whatever. That would have been cool. Woods is saying he's out of questions. Maybe ask the questions backwards. Just saying. So with that, thanks again, everybody, for joining us live. Go check out the Gizzard Show. It happens right before this. He bounces people to us, but just in case you're a late nighter and you don't know that just before this show, Gizzard Gary gets a bunch of people together and has a conversation called Foul Territory each Friday. They have a bunch of stuff that they do, including the Gorn, where they take a look at everybody's guns and knives and stuff. So check it out. It's a lot of fun, and you won't be disappointed. We'll have a quick commercial for our gear website store. Again, we encourage you to buy stuff over there on Fridays. It's Free Patch Friday, which means we give you free stuff. And we're going to be adding a lot of interesting things. We're going to have sort of a garage sale portion of the show, of the site. And as it gets to be the weather that I can go in and sew again, we'll be doing a lot more custom stuff with the patches. It's just been amazingly hot to go into that room in the last couple of months. So with that, we're going to have the commercial, and we'll be back to talk to you tomorrow afternoon.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
And just in case of Patriot is out there, if you haven't watched Patriot in the Dark's channel, it's a pretty good channel. Often does some flashbacks to interesting Reagan speeches.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.